All right, let us get straight to business. Step up to the firing line and clear your minds, because today we are tackling the heaviest debate in the firearms world. The year is 2026. Imagine yourself freezing in a backcountry blind, or maybe you are pushing through razor-sharp deadfall up a mountain ridge. Your adrenaline is spiking. You finally have a clear line of sight on the trophy you have been chasing all season. At that exact moment, every serious shooter asks themselves one critical question. If the chips were down and I could only rely on a single rifle chambering for the rest of my life, what is the absolute best choice? We are hunting for a ballistic unicorn here, a projectile capable of punching through heavy eastern timber without deflecting, a round with enough terminal performance to anchor a massive bull elk across a canyon, and a cartridge that packs enough raw kinetic energy to stop a charging coastal brown bear dead in its tracks. You need mechanical precision, you need devastating hydrostatic shock, and let us be real. You need a box of ammunition you can actually buy off the shelf at a local hardware store when your check bags get lost at the airport. From tactical instructors to seasoned backcountry guides, this argument never stops. But today, we are settling the score. We are tearing down the top-tier all-purpose cartridges. And the 120-year-old Monarch sitting at the #1 spot is going to upset a lot of modern precision shooters. Pay close attention. We are analyzing terminal ballistics. We are talking about manageable recoil impulses, and we are looking at the critical field data that determines whether you are packing out hundreds of pounds of organic meat or walking back to the truck empty-handed. Let us get down to brass tacks. Number 6. The 30-30 Winchester, kicking things off at the #6 spot. We have to tip our hats to a true American pioneer, the 30-30 Winchester. This is the piece of brass that quite literally built the modern deer hunting culture. Hitting the market back in 1895, it was the very first commercial sporting cartridge to utilize smokeless powder. Over a century later, it is safe to say this round has fed more American families than anything else in the safe. Looking at the ballistic data, you are sending a 30 caliber chunk of lead downrange, usually tipping the scales at 150 or 170 grains. You can expect muzzle velocities hovering right in that 2,200 to 2,500 feet per second neighborhood. That translates to a solid 2,000 foot-pounds of muzzle energy. Are you going to win a long-range precision match with it? Absolutely not. But inside a 150-yard envelope, it is a devastating fight, stopper on medium game. The absolute dominance of the 30-30 happens in the dense timber. When you are tracking through thick palmettos and the shot breaks fast and close, speed is not your friend. A slower, heavier, round-nosed projectile pushes through the brush without destabilizing the way a modern, high-velocity polymer tip will. Hit a buck in the vitals with a 170-grain soft point, and he is dropping exactly where he stands. And thanks to modern innovations like Horn, a D-Lever Evolution ammunition, we can now safely stack aerodynamic, flexible, tipped bullets in a tubular magazine. That technological leap stretches your maximum effective range out to a very comfortable 200 yards. Drop this cartridge into a classic Winchester Model 94 or a Marlin 336. You end up with a lever gun that carries like a dream and snaps to the shoulder faster than an R-15. The recoil impulse is barely a factor. It feels like a firm push rather than a violent strike. The tactical advantage, total dominance in dense brush. Unmatched handling in a lever-action platform. Ammunition is ubiquitous. The compromise, the trajectory arcs, like a thrown football, energy and drop-off, fall off a cliff past the 200-yard line. Number 5. The 270 Winchester stepping into the number 5 slot. We are looking at the original flat shooting speed machine, the 270 Winchester. This absolute laser beam has been dropping jaws since the 1920s. In simple terms, the engineers took the legendary 30-06 case and necked the brass down to grip a 277 diameter projectile. You are generally running bullet weights between 130 and 150 grains, and they are flying out of the muzzle at blistering speeds exceeding 3,000 feet per second. That sheer velocity is the entire point of this cartridge. It creates a trajectory so flat, it takes the math right out of the equation. Lock in a 200-yard zero, and your holdover at 300 yards is basically negligible. It still carries a punishing 1,500 foot-pounds of retained energy at that distance. When you step out of the woods and into the sprawling plains, this is your primary weapon. I have seen hunters fold tough pronghorn and mule deer across wide-open sagebrush with a single no-slur partition. It is an incredibly efficient killer in a bolt. Action rifle like the Winchester Model 70. While the recoil is undeniably snappy due to the velocity, it will not rattle your teeth. The tactical advantage, precision lethality on medium-sized targets at extended ranges. A very forgiving trajectory. The compromise. It lacks the heavy mass required to reliably anchor dangerous game or massive moose. Additionally, up close, that hyper-velocity impact can cause catastrophic meat damage on smaller animals. Number 4. The 7mm Remington Magnum. Coming in hot. At number 4. We are graduating to serious Magnum territory with the 7mm Remington Magnum. Hitting the racks in 1962. This cartridge is a verified sledgehammer. You are firing a .284 caliber bullet. Weights typically range from 140 up to 175 grains, and it pushes them at a screaming 3,100 feet per second. The primary mission of the 7 Mag is delivering catastrophic trauma across different zip codes. At 400 yards, it is still carrying almost 1,800 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. That is the kind of horsepower required to break the shoulder of an elk in the high alpine basins. Because these long, sleek projectiles possess an incredibly high ballistic coefficient, they cut through crosswinds like a scalpel, but you do not get that kind of downrange performance for free. The recoil impulse on the 7 Mag is sharp, fast, and aggressive. If your fundamentals are sloppy, this rifle will teach you how to flinch. You are also going to pay a premium for factory loads. But if you are staring down a trophy bull at 400 yards with darkness closing in, this is the exact tool you want in your hands. The tactical advantage, superior wind deflection, deep, bone-crushing penetration at distances where standard calibers run out of gas. The compromise, it will erode your barrel throat much faster than standard rounds. The recoil is punishing, and it is completely unnecessary for your average whitetail hunting scenario. Number 3. The 3.08 Winchester, occupying the number 3 position. The definition of rugged reliability, the .308 Winchester, born directly from the military's 7.62 NATO development in the 1950s. This is the benchmark for modern ballistics. It pushes a .30 caliber bullet, usually in the 100 and 50 to 100 and 80 grain class. Muzzle velocities sit reliably at 2,700 feet per second. It is naturally accurate and incredibly efficient with powder burn. Because it fits perfectly into a short-action receiver, you get lighter rifles with stiffer actions. It is also the undisputed king of heavy-hitting semi-automatic platforms. Whether you are running an R10 or dragging an M1A SOCOM 16 through the mud, the .308 provides devastating follow-up shots. That capability alone makes it the premier choice for professional feral hog eradication. The flight path is highly predictable. While it will not cheat the wind like the Magnums, it is surgically reliable inside of 300 yards. Its greatest tactical asset is logistical supremacy. You can source .308 ammunition absolutely anywhere on the planet. From cheap full metal jacket training rounds to premium bonded copper hollow points. The recoil is stout, but it pushes straight back, allowing a trained shooter to spot their own trace and impacts through the glass. The tactical advantage, short action mechanics, incredible platform versatility. The most accessible ammunition logistics in the industry. The compromise, the bullet trajectory begins to dive aggressively past the 400-yard mark compared to its Magnum counterparts. Number 2. The .300 Winchester Magnum taking the runner. Up spot at number 2. We are pulling out the heavy artillery, the .300 Winchester Magnum. If your personal doctrine is that there is no such thing as overkill, welcome to your new favorite cartridge. This system takes a heavy .30 caliber bullet and subjects it to absolute hypervelocity. You are sending 180 to 200 grain wrecking balls downrange at 3,200 feet per second. The energy transfer is violently explosive. We are looking at over 3,500 foot-pounds of energy right out of the barrel. It carries lethal, bone-shattering power well past the 500-yard line. When you are hunting the biggest, most resilient animals on the continent, this is the gold standard moose, elk, Alaskan brown bears. The large belted Magnum case holds a massive powder charge, guaranteeing that the bullet forces its way through thick hide, heavy muscle, and dense bone. But the physical toll on the shooter is significant. Touch this off in a lightweight carbon fiber mountain rifle, and it will rock your entire skeletal structure. This is not a beginner's training tool. It demands aggressive recoil management and perfect body mechanics. Furthermore, feeding this beast will drain your wallet fast, but when your life is on the line against an apex predator, you will never regret having that extra kinetic insurance. The tactical advantage, unstoppable terminal ballistics, massive kinetic energy retention at extreme distances, the compromise, severe recoil that can degrade shooter accuracy over time. Expensive to shoot, it will absolutely ruin the meat on smaller game animals. Number 1. The 30-06 Springfield. And here we are, claiming the absolute top spot on the podium. The undisputed, undefeated heavyweight champion of American firearms. The 30-06 Springfield, this single cartridge has served in the trenches of 2 world wars. It has successfully harvested every single species of large game walking the North American continent. It is the ultimate master of all trades. Officially adopted by the military in 1906. It represents the absolute perfect balance between lethal force and shooter control. The sheer versatility of this chambering is staggering. You can load light 100 and 10-grain projectiles for predator control. And you can scale all the way up to heavy 200 and 20-grain solid copper rounds for defensive carry in grizzly country. Send a 100 and 80-grain no-slur partition out of a 30-06, and you have the most field-tested elk medicine on the planet. The velocity sits directly in the optimal sweet spot. It shoots flat enough to make cross-canyon hits, but it will not scorch your barrel or destroy the front quarter of your harvest. The recoil impulse pushes the absolute upper boundaries of what an average shooter can manage without developing a flinch, but it completely avoids the concussive punishment of the 300 Magnum class. You can walk into any hunting lodge in the world carrying a Remington 700 chambered in 30-06, and you will instantly have the respect of the room. It simply refuses to fail. The tactical advantage, infinite load data and bullet weights, the kinetic capability to drop anything in the Western Hemisphere. Universal availability. The compromise. It requires a long-action receiver, which means slightly more bolt travel. The recoil is noticeably heavier than the 308. Alright, that is the definitive breakdown. The top 6 cartridges designed to conquer the American wilderness in 2026. While the 30-06 rightfully holds the crown for ultimate adaptability, every single chambering on this list is a proven, battle-tested performer. Your final choice always comes down to your specific environment, your expected engagement distances, and your personal recoil tolerance. Now, I want to turn it over to you. What is currently sitting in the front row of your gun safe? Are you fiercely loyal to the short-action 308, or do you trust your life to the historic 30-06? Drop your loadout and your logic in the comments section below, and let us get a solid discussion going. If you appreciated this no-nonsense ballistic breakdown, do me a favor and hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you do not miss our upcoming deep dives into tactical applications and self-defense law. Keep your skills sharp, stay dangerous, stay safe, and I will see you on the range.